All right, welcome everyone. As a quick introduction, my name is Keegan Cotton. I'm the Director of Customer Success here at Guesty for our Americas and APAC region. I've been in Guesty for just coming up on 4 years now, and am really happy to be here today to help talk through elevating the guest experience. Joining me are three illustrious panelists here today. We have Tyann Marcink Hammond, the queen of guest experience from TouchStay, Trey Barton, the Vice President of Sales from Xplorie, and Jackie Jedrzak, the President and owner of Caroline Coast Vacations. So thank you, all three of you, for joining today. We'll be hearing from each of them later on. But before that, want to be sure we talk about what we're going to go through today. So in today's meetup, I'll begin by sharing some Guesty insights up front as just a little bit of a data aperitif, as I like to call it, and then invite our panelists to share their points of view on our topic today of elevating guest experience for increased profits before concluding with our panel discussion, where we'll take some audience questions as well as questions that we've prepared beforehand. So don't forget to keep asking through that Q&A box. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into it. Before we dive into the data, I want to take a minute to introduce Guesty to those of you who are not yet familiar with what it is exactly that we do. At Guesty, we are providing short-term rental hosts and property management companies with the tools they need to operate more efficiently, bring in more bookings, and ultimately grow their business, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day. In order to do this, Guesty has two unique offerings, Guesty for Pros and Guesty for Hosts. Each of these platforms is tailored to different types of rental managers who work with properties ranging from personally owned vacation rentals all the way up to enterprise property management companies. Both platforms are powered by our 200 plus R&D team, 200 plus members, ensuring all of our users are provided with the most innovative and cutting edge solutions available on the market, as well as the support that it takes to upkeep those solutions. So no matter how many properties you manage, what your goals are, or whether you're just trying to get started or already a full-time professional property manager, within Guesty, we have a solution that's perfectly suited for you and your needs. So now on to today's topic. Elevating the guest experience. It starts with delivering exceptional service at the very first moment a guest books. I'm really excited to talk about a new functionality coming from Guesty today that plays into this exact topic, which is our CRM. This will allow users to foster lifelong guest loyalty and drive repeat business with the power of the Guesty CRM. Built on our intuitive hospitality platform, the Guesty CRM equips hospitality managers with the tools to seamlessly collect and manage guest and lead data, driving more repeat business and improving guest experiences. The way I like to talk about this is it's the good side of data collection as opposed to the evil money-making side of data collection. This is meant to really enrich that guest experience and make them leave that vacation or stay that they had with you thinking about, wow, they really understood what it meant to host me as their guest. And that was a phenomenal experience that I'd love to be a part of again in the future. All right. Now into the data portion that I promised at the top. So before we dive into our speaker presentations, I want to take a look back at the booking volumes we saw initially predicted for Labor Day and how that came through. So Labor Day 2023 saw an increase of 6% in bookings in comparison to 2022 and an 11% increase to 2021. So overall bookings are up. However, average nightly rates saw a decrease of 7% compared to last year. So taking that same approach, although the holiday season is still a few months out, we thought we'd like to take a look at data around Thanksgiving and Christmas bookings. While this data is, of course, subject to change as time goes on and we get closer and closer to those dates, we found some interesting takeaways surrounding booking intent and cost per booking based on the reservations we're already seeing being booked today and the predictions we're able to kind of extrapolate from that. So as of right now, Thanksgiving booking volumes are already 36% higher than 2022 and 62% higher than 2021, which signals that this year's fall and winter holidays are on track to see an increase in bookings. Christmas booking volumes in the US are showing an increase of 12% compared to 22 and 28% compared to 21. Globally, the reservation volume is 5% higher than 22 and 26% higher than 2021. Now, as was the case with Labor Day, however, we want to take a look at the cost per reservation. Overall reservations are going up, but the average nightly rate for the holiday season is seeing a decrease. While Thanksgiving is only seeing a decrease of 1% in ANR, Christmas, both in the US and globally, is seeing a significant decrease, with US reservations costing 15% less compared to last year and 26% less compared to 21. Globally, Christmas reservations are predicted to cost 8% less than 22 and an astounding 58% less than 21. This is largely due to the fact that I think 2021 was the massive bounce back year from COVID, where people hadn't been able to see family members for an extended period of time. So everyone was effectively ready to ball out for the holidays because they wanted to be sure they could see their loved ones and really make a memorable experience. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean this is the end of the world, right? That if ANR is dropping, it's a concern, but when it's paired with an increase in reservation volume, that means the overall impact on your revenue isn't as significant. And in fact, in certain cases, it can actually signal an increase in revenue. If you have a 1% drop in average nightly rate, but a 12% increase in bookings, that's actually going to net you more money at the end of the day. So these two are really, really important to keep in mind when referencing the other side of the coin, as it were. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and hand it over to Tyann.
Hey all, I am Tyann Marston-Cammon, TouchStay's Queen of Guest Experience. And thank you so much for having me on this webinar. I really appreciate it, Guesty. Guesty is a partner of TouchStay, so we are now integrated, which means all of you who use Guesty can use TouchStay and our full features. And I'll talk more about that later. But first, I wanted to talk about the guest experience and how digital guidebooks plays into that. The first thing I want to point out is, did anyone see Vrbo's data that they released yesterday? They had a big report that came out, and it talked about the traveler's journey before booking. But what struck me the most was what they said that booking window was. And they said on average, it's about 60 days in the US. Now, why is that really, really important? Well, the rest of my presentation is exactly about that, because the moment the guests book, after they're booking, this is really their height of excitement. Your job is to keep that excitement going because the guests want to hear from you. So in that 60 days that Vrbo is reporting, the average is, you do not want to ghost your guest. Absolutely not, because this is the time you can build your brand and start that guest experience off right. So what you're going to do is you're going to answer questions before they ask them. You're going to send a TouchStay digital guidebook, because what this is, it is a game changer that helps you to stand out. And as the data shows that Trey has shared beforehand, you've got to stand out in everything that's going on. So what is a digital guidebook? Well, I'll tell you right now, TouchStay reached over 3 million guests just this year alone with all those folks using our guidebooks. We started almost 9 years ago. We're in over 30 countries globally. We've got the translations. Guesty is one of our big integration partners, which is amazing. But even more so, you can build your brand, talking in your brand voice. It's a branded digital welcome binder, makes you smile, makes your guests smile. Put in your photos, videos, logos, colors, your best 3 to 5 activities, best 3 to 5 restaurants, your insider tips, your local knowledge. And importantly, you're going to set expectations with your guest. What's provided, what's not provided, the different quirks of the property, and how to operate things like the hot tub, the fireplace, the coffee maker. Because if the coffee maker doesn't work, you know you're going to hear about it, right? I don't know about any of you, but I am a big caffeine drinker in the morning, whether it's my coffee or my tea, and that's really, really important. So yeah, Tyann, this is all pretty. It looks great. But what are the benefits? And I'm going to answer that question because it is also operational efficiency. You can decrease your staff time managing guests because you're answering the questions before your guests ask them. You're meeting their needs because you know their needs already. You're being proactive, not reactive. And 86% of our users have reported reducing that time by more than 50%. If you just think about that, it's like, gosh, reducing that time by 50%, you can then put that time towards marketing. You can put it towards human face-to-face interactions, because what you're going to do is you're going to do less and you're going to communicate more. So on my Twitter, if you want to follow me at Tyann Marsink, I share a lot of stuff over there from my own personal path as a property manager, but also as guest experience. And I ask my followers, how many communications do you send your guest after they book? Well, nearly 40% is in that 1 to 2 range, and nearly 50% in the 3 to 5 range. Really important to notice here what it is that other property managers and hosts are doing, because the next slide, I'm going to show you what the guests want. So if you notice that 6 to 10, 11 plus, you're only looking at, what is it, barely 12% of folks do that. So this is a way you can stand out by communicating more. Here we go. Increased revenue when you communicate more. This is data that has not been released yet, so I'm leaking it a little bit just for this webinar here. We at Touch Day did a guest experience survey of over 2,000 travelers. And the increased revenue of guest experience meant discovering new things, purchasing add-ons, and booking extra nights. But I want you to pay attention to those color bands that correlate to how many communications the guest received. When they received 1 to 2 communications in the aqua, yeah, it's okay. Increased at 3 to 5 communications. But when the traveler said they received 6 or more communications, look at that increased revenue, especially on the booked extra nights. Over 40% of them said they added extra nights. That is pretty dramatic. And that is something you can do with a digital guidebook and the information and the communication that you're giving to your guests. So higher guest satisfaction. People remember how you make them feel. Well, how do I know this? Well, we ask those travelers. Exactly. But before I show you that, I want to show you another way you can stand out in the crowd if you're not convinced enough. We asked the travelers, what are the methods of receiving information about the stay? A lot of them said email and the OTA app, OTA referring to like Vrbo or Airbnb or Booking, and they were allowed to pick more than one thing. But if you notice, PDF, barely 11%, digital guidebook, 10%, and more than 10% didn't even know how they received the information about their stay. That's a whole nother subject, right? But the thing is barely anybody's sending a digital guidebook, and you can stand out in a crowd. You can level up and have an edge over those average host property managers, and you can tell the guests you care because you're answering their guest questions before they ask. You're reinforcing your brand. You're communicating that you are preparing for their arrival, that you're expecting them, and they can trust you. So how well did they care for? They felt cared for. So very well, fairly well, not well at all. They don't even remember. So I've highlighted the digital guidebook part where you can see those who felt very well cared for is definitely higher than if they were just communicated by the OTA app, the email, and the PDF. And if you notice, it is the very small smidgen they didn't feel cared well or can't even recall. And again, there's a lot of people who can't even recall how they felt cared for. And I know you guys are all amazing property managers who want their guests to remember not just how they felt and how you cared for them, but remember their stay so they come back to you again and again. The point is that communication, it's an entire choreographed dance. It's an orchestrated soundtrack, and you don't want to ghost your guests. So with Touch Day digital guidebooks, we are more than a digital binder if you want it to be. So the important communication overall is you can use memo as notifications to send the right message at the right time. You can also ask your guests, what is their first impression of their property, of your property, of the arrival? You can learn about those arrival annoyances immediately instead of letting them fester throughout the stay and then addressing them reactively instead of proactively. You can address those issues and turn a 4-star arrival into a 5-star review. So, all right, anyone who wants to see a live Touch Day digital guidebook, please grab your phones, scan the QR code, take a look. This is Paradise in Hawaii. And you can see when you look at that, It's like, oh my gosh, I got tons of content. Yes, they worked really hard on it. And the amazing thing is because they knew the value of the digital guidebook from Touch Day, it only took them 10 days because they were motivated. They got their content in there. Now, you don't start with a blank canvas. Well, you start with a structured template that we help you out with to help you with the most important information first. But the great thing is then you can be creative with it, just like Paradise in Hawaii has been. Remember, this is living communication. You can put lots of content. And the great thing is prepared guests are happy guests. So if you want to contact us, touchday.com, info@touchday.com. Find us on all the socials as well, me personally too. Remember, we're integrated with Guesty to have even a better experience. And that's it. I will be in the chat for questions, and I'll be around to answer questions at the end of this too. So I'm going to hand it over next to, I think, Xplorie, because they've got something great prepared for you as well.
No, all good. Let's rock and roll.
All right, so that sounds good. So, hey, thank you so much for having us. We could not be more excited about the partnership with Guesty and the opportunity to work with all the Guesty partners out there. My name is Trey Barton. I'm the Vice President of Sales for Xplorie, and I'm really excited to show you why the best experiences in the vacation rental industry are powered by Xplorie. So if there's one thing that I hope each of you take away from today is to understand what Xplorie does. And that is, so we have activity solutions that enable our partners to provide free and discounted tickets as a means to increase occupancy, build guest loyalty, and protect ADR, which may be the most important considering today's environment. So as the market leader, Xplorie's activity solutions are utilized in more than 22,000 vacation rentals across more than 70 of the best vacation destinations throughout the US, the UK, and Dubai. All right, so let me explain how it works. So we work with our partners to build a curated list of the best local activities and attractions that their destination has to offer. And then what we do, we provide these free and discounted tickets to those same attractions. And the best part is it's included in their stay. So no different than a hot tub in Colorado or a golf cart at the beach. So Xplorie is not an upsell or an add-on. Partnering with us means that you're adding true value for your guest. So on average, our partners provide around $350 in free tickets to the best local tours and attractions in their markets. So, as we all know, over the last 18 months, it's been really, really hard, really tough. So, inventory in our industry has heavily outpaced occupancy gains. So it's really important, more now than ever, to really differentiate your properties and, more importantly, your brand. So, what you're seeing on the screen is how a partner of ours is utilizing the free and discount activities to differentiate their listings on an OTA. So, obviously Vrbo, Airbnb, Booking.com. So I would highly encourage you to type into Google when you have some free time. Type in free golf in Google, VRBO, and then you'll see thousands of examples of how, our partners utilizing the activity solutions to work on their listings and create more of a differentiation. So another key component of your partnership with Xplorie, what would be that what we provide for you, right? So ultimately for your guest is a complete end-to-end activity booking experience that's driven by an automated, powerful, dynamic email journey, one that's personalized to recommend activities based on guest preferences to increase guest excitement prior to their trip and also while they're in property. So Xplorie's activity solutions, also include a site branded for your company that lists the activities that you're offering. And last but definitely not least, a dedicated destination guide team that serves as knowledgeable and friendly experts to help your guests book the best activities for their vacation. There's no use in sending emails that don't get opened. So we just want to brag a little, about our email analytics. So year to date, we've sent over 2.1 million emails on behalf of lodging partners to their guests. So which puts us on track to send over 3 million emails by the end of this year. Secondly, our emails have a 42% open rate and a staggering 12% click to open rate. So if you know much about the email marketing campaigns, those are really, really good numbers and high metrics. More importantly, all those metrics also while maintaining less than 0.5% of an unsubscribe rate. So here's why our emails, our metrics are so high. So we're really smart about what we send. So our messages include clear, multiple calls to action, which features obviously the activities to drive engagement. we're building your brand for you essentially. So we're also really smart about when we send those emails. So the dynamic email journey is sends off when the guest arrival dates are. So with obviously more frequent sends the week prior to their arrival, so that way the buzz is there, the excitement is there, and so forth and so on. So I'd encourage you to consider the value of a targeted branded email journey, personalized to preferences of each guest. And more importantly, not just the value, but also what the cost would be, right? So I don't know how many of you property managers out there, outsource and use third-party contractor email marketing campaigns and email marketing strategies, but it's a significant expense. So as you can see through the metrics I just shared earlier, Xplorie does it well, and it's all part of the package of our activity solutions. So it's all grouped together. So all these things add up to really improve and deepen the experiences for your guests. So when they think of your brand, they think of their vacation. They think about how well you treated them, how well you took care of their needs, how simple it was to get the information and to make those reservations they needed to really create a vacation that they're going to remember. So you may say, Trey, how does this help my brand? So happy guests ultimately leave great reviews that really encourage other guests to book with that same company, and also guests become and they become happy guests become repeat guests, which ultimately become brand ambassadors, which is I think the ultimate desired goal. And so we do a really good job of working with all of our partners and collecting those reviews and sharing those with them. So let me share one with you guys now.
The place was absolutely amazing. Our kids had a blast. You guys have fun? Yeah. What's your favorite part? Pool?
Everything.
Everything. All right.
Reviews.
Thank you guys so much. We had a blast.
Yeah, so those are some of the reviews that we get, and it's just a lot of fun. Going through and actually getting to listen to all those. All right, so just to kind of reiterate, the business goals that you can achieve using Xplorie's activity solutions. So here are a few that we recognized and how we address them. So, and all of this again is possible through the integration and the API connections with Guesty. So we can win bookings, differentiate your properties and searches, OTA listings, and your direct websites. Protect ADR during your high seasons, really help increase occupancy in your shoulder seasons, and also win repeat bookings, which ultimately should be a huge part of everyone's strategy. Build your brand and guest loyalty, like our friends over at Mount Laurel in Gatlinburg. So one of our lodging partners, Mount Laurel Chalets in Gatlinburg, is a great example to really kind of tie everything together. So Tom Goodwin and his team have done a really good job, and they've shown that investing in your brand, becoming known for your hospitality and providing exceptional guest experiences has distinct and very very valuable measure metrics. So if there's one tip I could leave you with is to really to analyze Mount Laurel Chalets, really make improving guest experience a daily effort, go above and beyond. And so then utilize, the things that we partner with and we help with. So, use the marketing materials that we supply, but make them your own by creating, really good blogs, really good social media posts, personalized emails, customized video greetings to really spread the word about that all the value adds that you're offering with all the activity solutions from Xplorie. So they come with your listings every single day of their stay. So I encourage you to check out their website, Mount Laurel Chalets, and so that way you can see how they really utilize the activity solutions from Xplorie and put them to work every day. So again, thank you so much for allowing us to be here. We really appreciate the opportunity. Sorry for all the technical issues. Looking forward to talking to everyone and being here to answer any questions and during the Q&A. So thank you so much again.
Thank you, Trey. And Trey, since we skipped over that slide, looks like someone's already asked this in the Q&A. Would you mind posting the URL to that website that you were recommending to check out, just so any participants can see that link and click through to it?
Sure, absolutely.
Wonderful. All right. Thanks so much, Trey. Okay, so we've heard from two vendor partners of Guesty to share how their companies kind of approach the guest experience. But how about being an actual property manager? Jackie has been kind enough to join us today to kind of share her strategies and how she's been extremely successful in cultivating a stellar guest experience. Jackie's one of our Guesty team members actually went out to visit Jackie in Hilton Head and got to experience this flow firsthand, and was truly blown away by the level of time and dedication that it appeared had been put into that guest experience. So I was really excited when Jackie said she was down to do the webinar. So without further ado, Jackie, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Hey, I'm Jackie Jedrzak from Hilton Head Island. I am the owner, president of Carolina Coast Vacations. Started about 4 years ago with 3 properties. We're now up to 60, plus a number of other boots on the ground property management that we don't do vacation rentals for. We just manage their guests. But what we find that's very important is no matter what we're doing from start to finish, we are there. We are accessible, and it's important, the tiny touches that are important to the guests. They want to feel like they're the only person that you are dealing with. They don't want to always have to wait on hold. So focus on the little things, because they will bring you big rewards. You know, it is not expensive to be nice. We do a lot of things for our guests, and per reservation, it's a joke on the amount we spend, because it gives so much and it costs so little. In the end, your guest, though, wants to know from the inquiry the silliest questions that they have, that to me that might be silly. They're not silly to them. They don't know the island. They don't know what's going on, or they don't know where your properties are. So if you can't kind of take a step back and look at it from their eyes and be accessible to answer, how many beach towels do you provide? The silly things that you're like, yes, we give beach towels. So there's things to do, and it makes a lot of sense. We look at some of these things, these digital guidebooks and other items as well. But yeah, we find that a lot of physical things in the properties make more sense. So our idea here, like you see on the slide, connection is the most important thing. The automated messaging really helps us do our job, but we don't rely 100% on it. Guesty provides a lot of options, and we scratch the surface, I think, because of time, because of what we like to do. We're 4 people that work full-time, 1 part-time, that manage all these properties: reservation, guest, owners, and vendors. So make your people feel like from the time they inquire until they depart, they are number 1. Local recommendations, your property is better than anyone. Really important that you can be that guide for them, and making sure that you listen to their feedback. Reviews are not always stellar, because people have things that they pick at and you don't understand why, but it's feedback. Good or bad, you're going to learn something and move away from it and make it better for the next guest, and hopefully make it better for that guest if they return to us. Part of our automation process starts at inquiry, and then as soon as they book, every guest receives a very detailed thanks for booking with us, and we look forward to having you. It's important from the beginning that they know that you're in touch with them. We have approximately 9 automated messages that we send to every guest that books, from the time they book until 6 months after they check out. Last, to remind them that we're out here, and to thank them for staying with us, and to give them an option to book with us again and provide them with a repeat guest discount. It's really easy to do this. We also text and use WhatsApp quite a bit for our international guests. And it's really easy with Guesty to set up automated messaging, and you should utilize it. Once you set it up, you set it and move forward, and you can set it for every property individually, or for all of your properties as with one automated system. You also need to be available by phone, answer the phone. That's what we find really helps, because we have a wide demographic here on the island. A lot of them do like the digital end. They want to text, they email, they don't care if they ever talk to you. But a lot of our folks, especially our snowbirds, want to know that there's someone at the end of the phone. And if you're needed, you can be there within 10 minutes or at least under an hour. So we find that to be very important as part of their experience. These are some of the things that we make sure are in our properties for the guests when they arrive. A welcome bag that includes sunglasses, discount coupons, maps of the island, popcorn, and gourmet coffee. So when they arrive, they already have coffee. We provide filters and tons of kitchen amenities in each of our properties. So that first cup of coffee the next morning is already in there. They don't have to shop that night. They can kind of ease into their vacation. We provide beach towels. We have a beach towel service. In the center of that photo, you'll see we have a physical guidebook, and it's we call it our welcome book. And page by page, it's how to work the house. It's basically our cookbook for the villa or home. Everything, the TV, your internet, who to call if something goes awry, when they can call us, or if they text us. I mean, we're available 24/7. You know, whether that's a blessing or a curse, but you're available for the guest, honestly. We provide emergency numbers and a whole sheet of what we call our welcome placard that is basically the quick view of what to find. This really helps them feel welcome. It gives them menu options, menu guides, everything that they need. So before they need to call us, it's right there if they just want to page through it late at night, during the day, however they want to go about it. But this cost is minimal. For instance, that bag and all of the things you see, we also include all of these things in our amenities. We call it our island amenities package. The approximate cost for our 1 and 2 bedroom villas is less than $16 per reservation. The cost to keep these starter amenities and all the other things that you saw in our gift bags for our larger homes, which anything above 3 bedroom gets a larger bag, is less than $28. And we're talking about hack and plays, the sleeper sofa sheets, everything that they could use, game packages, you know, anything that makes them feel like they walked into home and it's their home. We find that really helps the guest experience, and they come back to us. We make sure our number is in every unit so that even if they came through Airbnb, Vrbo, whomever, they can access us directly and book with us direct. We have a huge turnaround of OTAs to direct or manual bookings, as we call them, from year to year. Our reviews, we work really hard for the 5-star. Sometimes people don't understand a 4-star isn't as great on Airbnb, even though they think they've done something stellar. But you still do. And we also send an email after they depart that says, hey, you can reach us on Google, check out our Google page. We give them the link. We give them the ability to put another review out there for us and just have them share. The important thing on Google as a property manager, whether you have time or not, you have to have time. You have to respond to every review. You have to get on there, and whether you thank them or just, you know, appreciate them for their feedback when the feedback isn't as great. We always appreciate it because then we can get better. These are the things that are important to the guests to know, that you're not a machine that's just taking reservations, taking their money, and hoping they have a great time. Just the important thing that we find is present. Be present and help them understand they're more than a reservation, they're more than a number. And in the end, come to our island anytime you'd like. We'd love to have you. This is one of our multiple golf courses we have out in Palmetto Dunes, and you could be walking on it tomorrow. I mean, we'd love to have you. We make sure our guests know this as well. So I appreciate the opportunity. I would love to answer anyone's questions, or email me if you're doing something or you'd like to know kind of what we're doing, that how it helps us, because our guests love the touches. They make sure they tell us. And a lot of times when we put one pair of sunglasses in a Villa bag, we get a call from mom and dad that says, "We have 3 kids. Would you give us more glasses?" They love them, and we love seeing them walk around on the beach with their sunglasses on, because we have our logo on the side. So we like that kind of thank you. But we appreciate Guesty. Guesty gives us a lot of opportunity to do a lot of things, and we just move forward. So I don't know if this helps or hurts, but you know what? Be present. Don't rely only on automations and digital interaction with your folks. Let them know you exist. So for me, when we show up at the front door because we have a call, they're like, "Oh, you really are here." And we like that reaction, because then they're like, "Oh, okay, well, we have contact." We've had guests call us and say, "We stayed with Vacasa last time. That's who managed our property, and we were put on a hold for 45 or 57 minutes with a call center in Colorado, and we didn't get the help we needed that night." And if you're locked out of your unit and your code's not working, Hilton Head is dark at night. You don't want to be tooling around in a parking lot. You want someone to answer you and say, "Hey, let me open the door for you." We just hit the app on our phones, open their door, get them a code that works. Most of the time it's user error, and get them in and comfortable. But thanks again. Appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jackie. I really appreciate your take on kind of being hyper localized. It seems like you are the queen of Hilton Head Island, as it were. But it's really awesome to see. I think it's almost by showing up at the front door and being the person that was communicating with them, you're almost subverting expectations from an increasing digital world, where that's not necessarily realistic for every single property manager who might be in the audience. But if they are a local PM, they should use that to their advantage. They should accentuate that and really make it a benefit to the guest, and make sure that the guest is aware of that, as it seems like you do such a diligent job doing so.
Yeah, well, you hope that somebody, even if you're not a local, that you have boots on the ground, someone who's there for you. Hilton Head has just passed a bunch of laws, regulations for our short-term rental market. Someone has to be able to answer to get to that door within an hour if they have a nuisance call or some kind of an issue. But if you have an emergency, it's going to be us. And they're always like, "Can we talk to your supervisor?" I'm like, "Well, that would be me." So
as a director of customer success, there is nothing I enjoy more than saying I am the manager now. So, okay, all right, Jackie, well, thank you so much. But I want to kind of tee up our first question for the panel. So the first question that I have for the panelists, and I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen so we can actually see everyone here. My first question for the panelists, let's go ahead and start with Tyann here, since you were the first speaker. As the holiday season rapidly approaches, what high season strategies should our audience consider implementing to maximize bookings and revenue during this period, all while maintaining exceptional guest experience?
Ooh, okay. So as a property manager myself, I am going through this exact same thing. Was just had a discussion with my husband on what we're doing. I'm going to push back on that Verbo data that came out yesterday. If you guys got it, it was talking a lot about how people are really leaning on socials now. It's something that we've thought about for a while, but now they've got the data showing that people are really searching on socials and asking family and friends. So me as a property manager, I am going to be hitting up my past guests by email, by SMS text marketing. I am going to make sure I continue that relationship, that we're posting more on socials. We're in those Facebook groups talking about our properties, about our service, and showing those photos of our properties all ready for the holidays. Where I'm at, the holidays start November 1st. We're Christmas Tree City in the United States. So we make sure Christmas is everywhere, and we're going to be talking more about that. The other thing is don't panic, because obviously 70% of us, we're in the same boat. So it's not a giant panic, but do your diligence and really work those relationships you have with your past guests.
Amazing. Amazing. Trey, anything to add there in terms of increasing high season strategies for audience members to consider implementing to maximize bookings and revenue during this period?
I think Tyan did a really good job of answering the majority of it. So, for us, I know a lot of our partners, utilize the attractions to really leverage those. Dollywood's really big in Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. So a lot of our partners, utilize that at the Christmas time. They have a really good, really strong Christmas presence with their Christmas lights and things like that. So I think just highlighting those, and to Tyan's point about, in really increasing your social strategies. I think if those you start highlighting those kinds of activities and those kinds of offerings, I think it just really drums up some excitement. And within the drive markets, it's really powerful.
Amazing. All right, Jackie, anything to add from the property manager side of things there?
We get on top of our rates all the time to make sure they're really competitive. We do have a lot of bookings already for Thanksgiving and Christmas. We had a couple of days 2 weeks ago where it seemed like 18 of our properties booked on Thanksgiving. It's like everybody was on board. I think it's a different, we have to be competitive. We try to offer little holiday deals and throw them out. And we do go out there on like Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn even. I mean, we use a lot of the socials to say, hey, this is available. We find that the houses book up real quick because when families want to get together, they want to do it ahead of time. And our smaller units, they're kind of very near-term bookings. I mean, so we don't really start to worry about absolutely huge vacancies until we're about 2 weeks out. I mean, because we're seeing things where they're booking 24 to 36 hours for stuff. Now, holidays are they're not our high season. We do get a lot of snowbirds, and the snowbirds have been booking since last winter, because a lot of homes have changed hands. So we have a lot of extended stays that could start as early as Thanksgiving or don't start till the first of the year and they go 3 months in. So, I think as a property manager, if we're not paying attention to our photographs, our marketing, and our pricing, that's when you lose people. They need to know that like you're on it.
Keegan, if I could add one more thing.
Of course.
I had talked about, pushing to your email marketing, but there's one step that I forgot to mention was you need to have that email address. And especially with one of the OTAs not sending an email address anymore, TouchStay does have an email capture option now that you can get those email addresses. So if you haven't been building your email list, definitely start now. The best time was before, but the second best time is today. So start collecting those email addresses.
I completely agree. The number one strategy I recommend to property managers who are looking in particular to boost direct bookings is to ensure you're getting that email. And as we talked about earlier with the Guesty CRM, as much information as you think would benefit your understanding of how to cater the best experience to that guest. As Jackie mentioned, she's identified a lot of these guests that are booking a year in advance because they're snowbirds that had such a great experience. They want to do it again. She doesn't know they're just snowbirds just by nature of them coming into town. She's talked to them. She understands why they're in town. You can ask questions even to dive even deeper to get that information that you can utilize. How did you hear about us in the first place? A struggle I see PMs or property managers struggling with a lot is I don't know what strategies I should implement to engage the customers or the guests that are going to be interested in my properties. You don't have to make it up out of thin air and guess. Talk to the guests that have come and stayed with you. Talk to them that have had a good experience. Get to know details about them. And that can help you hone in your strategies of how to attract other guests like them, whether it be families, whether it be younger generations, whether it be older generations, whatever you find is most successful for your properties. That's really where you want to hone into. Always good to diversify those channels, of course. But like if you're very naturally fielding very well in one area, it's worth looking into it.
The other thing will tell you that Guesty provides the opportunity to put documents and send documents out. So we always send a rental agreement, and part of the signature is their email. We also send what we call our check-in form that just gives them an opportunity to say, hey, we're traveling for a holiday, we're traveling for this. Here's all of our contact information if you need to get in touch with us. So we try to find a way to harvest this from the guest without like saying, hey, give me your email address. Although we do that as well. when we need to send information out. There's videos that we have to send out for some of the communities that are part of safety videos, and I have to have an email, and we have to, and so that's when we say, hey, we need your email. So
Jackie, let me know
Wonderful.
when you want to know how to put those videos in a digital guidebook. We can chat.
All right.
we are working on it.
Trey, it looks like you had something to add there.
Yeah, so I just wanted, so to my earlier point, so leveraging the activities, Tom Goodwin, I mentioned earlier, I'm gonna have my team actually post that link to his video so everybody can see it. But he actually did a Facebook Live from Dollywood riding one of the roller coasters. So things like that, I think you're including those kinds of activities and value add. I think the guests, obviously they resonate with that, and then it's really if it's only drive markets. I mean, Gatlinburg's a drive market from two-thirds of the country's population. So I think things like that, get people really excited, and all those amenities and attractions that are included, I think it's a great way to help you get those bookings and convert.
Incredible. Quick question that actually is getting a lot of upvotes, Tyann, the Verbo report that you mentioned earlier. Do you by chance have a link to that you could share in the Q&A? There's a couple people that are kind of interested.
How about we put that link in the email follow-up with the webinar recording to everybody?
Wonderful idea, Tyann. I love that. Okay. I love where your head's at. Okay. All right. So a couple of questions coming through here about guest communication when guests are struggling to understand or struggling to absorb that information. I see a question here about how do you prevent guests from asking questions that are already in the information that you've provided to them, or what's the best way to explain to guests how to enter an accommodation when it's self-check-in? Like, people consistently seem to have issues here. So Jackie, I want to start with you on this question, since this is your domain as a property manager. What steps do you take to really chew up and digest this information for certain guests to provide to them, so they're not having to ask again and again about these different things that you've provided to them previously?
We try to put a really concise email out a week prior to their arrival. That is, we call it our welcome email, and we tell them about it in our booking email. Hey, you will get something a week out that will explain step by step the address, the directions on how to get there, how you access the property, if you have to pick up a parking pass, all of these things. And we do not include the digital code until 3 days before, because that way you keep it separate. They have directions on how to get in, and then their code comes separately. Now, do they sometimes not read? Absolutely. Do we sometimes have to go through it? Absolutely. Sometimes we have to send it again. Or, honestly, Verbo and Airbnb, sometimes our emails don't go through. They get caught up in their system. I can see them on Airbnb and I can see them in our Guesty system, but the guest is not claiming not to see them or not seeing them. So a lot of times I'll say, hey, can we get on a call real quick? Do you have a minute? Let me talk you through it. Let me show you what it is. And let me resend this. And I ask them again, let me confirm your address, your email address. That seems to be the easiest way, because a lot of times you still have that masked email address sitting in the system for Verbo that once you switch it out and resend that email, they get it direct. So, I mean, it's just a matter of, sometimes you talk through it a million times and it's part of it. I mean, we try not to send an email unless it's requested, a repeat email, but we will send a repeat email.
Got you. Tyann, from the more tech side of things, is there any recommendation you have, either from TouchStay's platform or just from general best practices, that you would recommend to prevent guests from just having to ask the same question or multiple questions over and over again?
Absolutely. So the first thing to think about is guests leave their brain at home when it's anything to do with vacation. So once they booked, their brain's on vacation. So you have to remind them. You have to tell them again and again and again. And remember that guests, actually people, process information in different ways. So you need to send that information at different times and in different methods. So actually, myself as a property manager, I contact my guest, I touch them 21 times before they even arrive. And part of that is just little notifications, like from TouchStay's memo system. When I email directions, I'll also send a memo text that says, hey, I just sent you an email with directions. If you don't see it, please let me know. And just different little things like that. So I'm reaching my guests in different ways. And then that has dramatically decreased how many questions they've asked. The other thing to keep in mind is, I talked about a choreographed communication flow. It's choreographed to the point of I listen to when my guests are asking questions, and I answer it a couple days before that. So looking back at that history. So if they're asking for directions at 14 days or 10 days, well, I'm going to back it up a little bit and make sure I answer that question before they can ask me. Then they feel like we are taking care of them, because we are, and we're initiating it, and we are being that human touch, talking in our brand voice, and it comes out as they are naming you in reviews even, and you've built that relationship.
Amazing. All right. So that being said, thank you again to our panelists. I really, really do appreciate it. Thank you all for joining, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.